Round 7 of Red Bull Global RallyCross arrives at the Port of Los Angeles.
It's actually a quite tricky track because it has so many corners that falls away and tightens.
There's definitely going to be some guys getting punted into some walls. That's kind of fun, so we'll see what happens.
This weekend's demanding doubleheader race presents drivers with a difficult choice. Race to win or race to survive.
You come into this weekend as a doubleheader, you have to be smart. You have to respect your competitors.
It's risk versus reward in the City of Angels. This is Red Bull Global RallyCross, Los Angeles. Our supercar drivers getting ready to race. Nelson Piquet in the lead in the championship. He is 39 points ahead of Ken Block. Ken has made a late season charge, and he is looking good in that challenge. Right behind them, though, Scott Speed in third, Johnny Riemann in fourth, both hoping and both have a taste. They want that championship. But the spoiler this weekend, well, that could be the 199. Travis Pastrana back in GRC Racing, won a heat already yesterday. He is looking good in Los Angeles. The Port of Los Angeles is the nation's busiest shipping container port, where they unload over 8 million containers every year. But today, it's all cleared out, and we have this purpose-built rallycross track getting ready to go, and the drivers are hungry to get out there on track. Hi, everyone. I'm Tess Sewell along with Tommy Kendall. And Tommy, we've heard it from the drivers, and everyone is talking about risk versus reward. As a driver, what do you do here in Los Angeles this weekend?
We have a doubleheader, so the team manager's saying you guys got to balance the risk. But the reality is, other than Nelson BK, who has a points cushion, the reward is what's in these guys' mind. They're trying to make up some ground. So they can talk all they want about, being conservative and not damaging the equipment. But if you end up with a shiny car and you're no closer at the end of these 3 races, nobody cares about that. So I think they're going to throw discretion to the wind and go for it.
Well, they're going to go for it, and they're going for it on a purpose-built track. As we said here, it's very tight, and it's going to be a challenge. Walk us through this track here in Los Angeles.
You can see how spectacular, right out on the peninsula, jutting out into the harbor. Turn 1 is a gentle bend, but gets real tight and narrow in a hurry at turn 2. Same thing at turn 4. So avoiding trouble in those 2 spots is key. You go in, then turn 6 is the start of the dirt and the jump section. Really short dirt section, but the dirt gets dragged into turn 7. That's been a problem spot this weekend. Now the Joker jumps off kind of in the middle of turn 6, and so it's only a little bit quicker. So to actually make a pass there, you have to do it exactly perfectly.
Well, a very tight track and a big challenge for all of these drivers. With 4 races left to go, take a look at the point standing. We said Nelson Piquet, 39 points clear of Block, but Speed and Wiemann, they both still have a chance. Well, if you're going to really make it happen here this weekend, you've got to be very careful and very smart with your equipment. And for more on that, let's go to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Kristen Kenny.
Thanks, Tess. Because it's a doubleheader, it brings new challenges to all the teams out here. This is Subaru's 3-car team, and they have twice as many parts here. You can see this is where they store all of their parts. They have 25 doors, 18 front and rear bumpers, 6 transmissions, 6 motors, 20 axles. It's double the parts and double the workload for these guys.
Thanks, Kristen. Well, an awful lot of toys sitting there in the pits. What is Red Bull Global RallyCross? Well, 2 6-lap heats where the top 3 advance straight through to the final, then a last chance qualifier with the top 4 advancing, and then a 10-car, 10-lap final to wind it all out. The racing is going to be hot here in Los Angeles this weekend. Well, you've heard all about Red Bull Global RallyCross, but let's get you a more in-depth look at our track now with our GoPro track preview and Tanner Faust.
Coming to you live from sunny Hollywood, California, I'm your host, Tanner Faust, and this is the GoPro course preview. I'll be driving the Rockstar Energy and Ready Volkswagen Beetle. Let's get started. And we're off. 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. Coming into the first turn is a blind turn. Now we're in second corner. It's actually a blind corner. You just turn in, a curve magically appears. You hopefully clip it, grab 3rd gear down into the kink. This is a tricky turn. You got to stay to the left in order to get a good lineup through these 2 90-degree right corners. Feeding in the power each time, trying not to get too much push, trying not to get too much wheel spin. Coming into the scariest, most dangerous part of the track is this left turn 6. You come over another blind press into the curve. lining up for the jump. Try not to go too big. There in the background, you see some weird dock loading device in Long Beach that George Lucas used to inspire the big walking creatures in Star Wars. Random fact, as we come into the last corner, start-finish line, fourth gear, and that is a lap here in Long Beach.
Having some fun on board there and getting ready now for our first heat. Let's take a look at the Royal Purple starting grid, Tommy.
But you see Scott Speed trying to get his season back on track. Since those 2 wins, has not had a win or even a podium. Travis Pastrana with a heat win yesterday got himself a front row spot, and Sverre Isaksson on the outside of the front row.
And in that second row, when you look back there, you're looking at Steve Arpin's car. Next to him, the VW Beetle of Tanner Faust. Going to be really interesting to see how he does. They've been developing this car. They've taken months to get it here, but it's ready in LA. But the big story, look who's in the back of the pack.
So I said he can afford to be conservative, but he wasn't being conservative. That is what put him here. He actually got a penalty for blasting Wieman in one of the preliminary heats, and then a miscommunication on the start with his team owner led to a poor finish, and then a lot of harsh words between the two of them. Team owner, because his team owner is subbing as a spotter this weekend.
So here on board with Travis Pastrana, number 199. He is back, his first GRC race of this season, and he looked just great yesterday once he'd figured it all out. But in the subs.com Ford Fiesta ST, Nelson Piquet Jr., this is going to be a tough race for him. We're green in Los Angeles.
Piquet already making a move. So much for conservative. He had a jump on Arpin in front of him, but ended up that gap disappeared and Isaksson out front.
Isaksson got a great jump. Speed managed to get his way past Pastrana. Oh, and jump in there a little bit. You saw the Beetle of Faust.
And Piquet is broken. Piquet is out on that from that start line incident.
So there you see that Ford Fiesta of Nelson Piquet just rolling off the side of the track. So this is a disaster.
Isaksson, Pastrana, and Arpin head for the Joker. Speed's going to try to only lose 1 spot. It's going to be close for that second spot.
So Tanner Faust sitting in the back there, the Beetle. Sverre Isaksson, though, the Subaru out front and looking good. If you look at the top of your screen, you see as the name scroll, you have a Joker symbol. When it's colored, that means they have taken that Joker lap.
Now watch Scott Speed. Scott Speed's been showing, pardon the pun, lots of speed. And look at this, in with Nelson Piquet out almost before the race began.
Wow,
situation going from bad to worse.
Huge disappointment this weekend for Piquet. Speed chasing down Sverre Isaksson. And Pastrana's under challenge from Steve Arpin now.
At the Open, I said the Joker is only a little bit faster, so what Speed is going to have to be right on the bumper of Isaksson before he takes the Joker. He'll wait as long as he can to do that. You can even do it on the last lap coming to the checker, but look how close he is now. So if he's right on his bumper, and Isaksson's starting to be defensive already.
In car with Scott Speed, and his team has worked really hard to get this VW Polo to the line. Here we go. Is this the right time to take the Joker, Tommy?
We'll see. It's going to be close. He's on the inside. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. And Isaksson over under him. No.
Nice move from Isaksson. He almost makes it, and not quite enough space there. Scott Speed just slammed the door on Isaksson.
He's so smooth. He knew what he was going to do, and the key was he came out in front of him, so he's gassing it up, but he had to rotate the car enough to be able to get back to the inside to block the over-under.
And a lot of people talking about how Scott Speed is the master on road courses, and only about 10 or 15% of this course is actually dirt. You're looking at it right there. That is literally all of the dirt on this course. So this is, dare I say, a Scott Speed track.
It is, but things haven't gone exactly their way. You can see the yellow front spoiler. This is actually the Polo of Tanner Faust, and they had to rewrap the car in 7-Up colors when he had trouble with his primary.
So despite all of the challenges, Scott Speed is looking very good. And look at the gap between Isaksson in second and Pastrana in third. And they're climbing all over the back of Travis Pastrana's Subaru.
And there's that new Beetle making a move back in the back. This is shaping up perfectly for taking a huge chunk out of that lead of Nelson Piquet. Now, his guys have got to be wondering, hey, he's got to get that car back together. How badly damaged is it for the last chance qualifier? If it's damaged really badly and he somehow doesn't make it, I mean, there's another race tomorrow.
You saw the white flag flying, indicates that this is the final lap of this heat with Scott Speed in the lead over Sverre Isaacson, and that insane battle for third right now. Everybody is trying to take that Travis Pastrana, but I think Scott Speed has got this. He just needs to be smooth through the next couple of corners. Here we go over the jump and into the final turn section. Oh, Isaacson trying to get close. He's trying to take a look. But it's not going to work. Scott Speed takes the first heat, and that is really going to help his points chase. And Pastrana hangs on for third.
Faust saved the Joker for the last lap.
But a bad start there for Tanner Faust, and he just couldn't find a way past Steve Arpin. But a great race there, as we said, in the borrowed polo for Scott Speed over Sverre Isaacson and Travis Pastrana. He's back for this weekend, takes a third in that heat.
But Nelson Piquet finishing in 7th, so they're going to have to figure out how badly is that car damaged and hustle to get it prepared or try to get it fixed for the LCQ.
So Nelson Piquet climbing out of the car, and here you see him bounced onto that inner wall. So the team is going to have to work hard to get Piquet back. We'll see him in the last chance qualifier. Of Red Bull Global RallyCross from the Port of Los Angeles is brought to you by Royal Purple, the performance oil that outperforms. By AutoZone, get in the zone. By GoPro, the world's most versatile camera. And by Motegi Racing, fueled by innovation. Welcome back, everyone, to the Port of Los Angeles Red Bull Global RallyCross Round 7, and a great race that we just saw. Scott Speed winning in our first heat, and there you see the Lane Victory. That's not wrong. It's not Victory Lane. It's actually the ship. It's a Victory class ship called the Lane Victory, and that race, though, was disaster for Nelson Piquet Jr.
And you saw he got a really good start. He's up a good ways alongside Steve Arpin, and then the gap just disappears. And I said the one guy that could be a little bit conservative was Piquet, but, I mean, it's a relative term because he's in the back, and the weekend builds on itself. He's trying to transfer to the final.
So that was not helping Nelson Piquet Jr.'s points chase, and now Kristen Kenny's caught up with him.
Nelson, can you tell us what happened out there?
Simple. Steve Arpin just turned into me, threw me in the wall. I mean, I had a much better start than he did. Half of my car was next to me, just threw me in the wall, and obviously it's a big concrete wall. There's nothing car could have survived. So the car is done. Probably won't even make the LCQ. So thanks, Steve.
Wow, well, that's going to be amazing if he doesn't make the LCQ. Well, building the grid for our final. See the first three drivers already in there. Speed, Isaacson, and Travis Pastrana. Pastrana back. He is back with a vengeance.
And Speed is licking his chops with the trouble for Nelson Piquet. And then in this next heat, you have Ken Block, who's also trying to make up some ground. So Speed's doing everything he can thus far. Let's see what Block can do next. But look at that damage, both front and rear damage.
Wow, Nelson Piquet Jr. now is, you know, we talked about how he had that 39-point pad coming in here, but that is, it's kind of disappearing quickly, and you can see the team just looking at that thing. Wow, Royal Purple grid for our heat number 2, and taking a look at that front row, Ken Block is the guy on your right.
But the guy on the inside, Johnny Weeman, is the guy that I feel is ready to break through. He virtually swept everything up until his semi in Daytona, knocking on the door for that first win. Only 20 years old, protege of Marcus Gronholm, and I think he's getting close to breaking through for his first win.
And sitting there in the second row, there's a Hyundai Veloster sandwich that contains the Subaru of Bucky Lasek in the middle. Reese Millen to the left of the picture there, won in Daytona, his first ever Global Rallycross win. And he's got some challenges, got to work his way out of that second row.
There's on board with Johnny Weeman, and he's really hard on himself. He says, I'm making too many mistakes. He's a rookie in the supercars. He dominated lights last year, but this is a guy, like I said, he's doing a lot of winning in heat races. And now we have Ken Block, who's also on a roll, and you start to see the confidence building. Ken Block doesn't maybe like this type of course, but he's got 3 podiums in a row, including a win. And so he's got to feel good about his chances. He just saw Piquet in big trouble. Let's see what he can do on this start.
So Ken Block going to launch off the front. The lights will go red when they go out. They have 5 seconds that they can launch that green at any moment. And green now in Los Angeles. And Weeman looks like he's getting a good start.
Block made some ground on the outside, able to at least get past into second. Vlasic squeezed wide, and I think that's Millen sliding through into fourth.
And Bucky Vlasic was trying to find that outside line, and it just went away quickly, but he had to try something coming from that second row.
And I'll tell you what, Weeman out front is a tough guy to deal with. Ken Block is just gives it everything, full stick or nothing. Leaders, true to form, take the first time through. Oh, and Weeman, I think, hit the inside wall there, maybe. Now, if Block gets held up behind him, you're going to see Sandell try to close the gap like we saw Speed do. Look at this. He's up next to Weeman. Weeman, a little bit rattled. Usually when he's out front, he just puts his head down and checks out. But
Johnny Weeman said when he gets in these heat races, he puts too much pressure on himself, and he's making unforced errors, and you saw it there. Hit that inside wall to cause him a problem, but Ken Block just drove right through and drove past him.
Not sure that Weeman isn't maybe dealing with a little bit of damage. We'll see when things settle in here. But now Block out front, and again, this is not a track that he would say he likes. He likes the gravel tracks, but Collins is building for him. We're seeing now, and Ken Block is starting to drive away.
So Ken Block in that RX-43, he is trying to pull away from Weeman, and Weeman is now under threat from Reese Millen, and Millen won last time out in Daytona. He's really got that Hyundai Veloster up and running well, so he's putting the challenge on Weeman, and again, Weeman must be just hating himself right now and putting a lot of, I think, unnecessary pressure on himself.
Well, you know, that's what's making him driving to be better, and he's really kind of struggling. His car is not working. You can see it hunkered all the way over. Red Bull versus Red Bull, but it's Ford versus Hyundai. And Reese Millen Motorsports cars have just come alive. That testing, the stuff they discovered with the diff and the shocks before Daytona, and that was not a fluke.
And when you look at the pictures there, you can see that Reese is trying to find a way through. He's definitely got the speed, and he's got the turning ability on the track here, and there he goes.
Look at that.
Oh, wow. Reese Millen moves into second past Johnny Weeman, so Weeman must have trouble with the car.
I think he might have a flat, and it looks like it just does not want to turn.
Well, you're looking from Johnny Weeman's car, and you can see when you look at the car, it's leaning a little bit, and perhaps a flat on the car is slowing him down. But Ken Block leading them out now in that Hoonigan Racing Division Ford Fiesta ST. This is great for his chances at this championship. This is going to move him up, especially with perhaps Nelson Piquet Jr. not even being able to make the last chance qualifier.
And it was a slight mistake by Weeman, but what made that possible is Reese Millen was right on top of him and was able to pounce. I mean, he was just cracked the door open a little bit as Ken Block takes the white flag, starting his last lap.
And we haven't seen yet whether we can spot that flat and if Weeman does have the problem, but he's still managing to hang on there in third. He's not letting them get too far away, and certainly not letting Patrick Sandell catch up to him, so he may be able to squeak a third place out of this one. But Ken Block, the class of the field here, second place in points coming into this race. And this really is going to help his chances in this charge for the championship. He's come on late this season, too. You know, he's got a third, a first, and a second in the last three races.
You couldn't script it any better. The two guys chasing, and with that flare across the finish line, Jim Conn flare, the two guys chasing PK both win their semis.
So Ken Block wins this one in very convincing fashion. And again, Johnny Weeman manages to pull out that third place, so he will get to go straight through to the final. But great move there for Reese Millen, really just put the pressure on him and found a way past.
Trying to assess the damage on that subs.com car. They've got the right front corner off already. Guys going to town. That's a helpless feeling for Nelson Piquet to watch. Are they going to get it done?
Nelson Piquet working hard to come back into this race. Welcome back, everyone, to Red Bull Global RallyCross from the Port of Los Angeles, and a beautiful day here on the West Coast. Well, there are many ways you can make your own car at home similar to these high-performance GRC cars we have here. For more on that, let's get in the zone with Kristen Kenny.
At the end of the race, just about every team will be doing an oil change. It's so important to have fresh and clean oil. Dirty oil is like mopping the floor with dirty water. The dirt spreads and it can cause some serious damage to the engine. Now, mechanics never like to run oil that long, and neither should you. So how often should you change the oil, and what type should you use? It all depends on the age of your car and how hard you drive it. The first step, check your owner's manual. You may be due for a change. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Kristen. Some good advice there. There's a very happy-looking Ken Block. That win is really going to help his championship chances, and I know that Ken he's tasting that championship right now. Well, looking at the grid, we've added 3 more to the final. So Block, Millen, and Wieman join Speed, Isaacson, and Pastrana. They are straight through. But the rest, well, they have to fight their way out of the last chance qualifier, including Nelson Piquet Jr., whose team are working hard. Will he make it through to the last chance qualifier? Find out when we come back.
Why do you trust Royal Purple synthetic oil?
It's a high octane. You want to see speed? Havoc wreaking. Boom! Just nails it. Adrenaline-fueled thrill ride.
RallyCross racing is
Junior.
Just in the nick of time. Great job by your crew getting your car back out. How confident are you with your car heading into the LCQ?
Well, we'll do the most we can of what we have, you know. Good days and bad days, but today wasn't a perfect day, but we'll try still too. We're never going to give up, so we still have our last chance now. So we'll see what we can do.
Never give up, the great attitude to have here for Nelson Piquet. Guys.
Thanks, Kristen. And here we are in car with Nelson Piquet Jr. Tommy, I really didn't think they were going to get it done. I mean, with a minute to go, the car was still on jacks, and suddenly it's out there.
And we saw Nelson pitching in kind of A.J. Foyt style, you know, helping with the repairs. And just a second ago, you saw his right knee bouncing with nervous energy, wanting to get back underway to try to get into this final.
Last chance qualifier, 4 will transfer. Let's take a look at the Royal Purple starting grid. Sandell, Arpin, and Tanner Faust in that VW Beetle on the front line.
Second row, now Bucky Lasek, Emma Gilmore, and Austin Dine. And starting where he started in his heat race, in the back will be Nelson Piquet Jr. Got a long ways to go. He's got to get by at least all 3 of those cars, 3 cars, basically the whole row he's got to jump around. And remember, that car that put him into the fence, is there on the front row.
Steve Arpin was the guy that he claims punted him into that inside wall. What we've seen, though, is that inside line, if you get a good start, you can kind of try and squeeze up through there, and if you don't get pinched into the wall, could be a chance. Red light's on. When it goes green, we're under race. Last chance qualifying. Can Nelson Piquet Jr. make it through to the final? Whoa! Piquet Jr. got into the back of Bucky Lasek.
Yeah, he didn't want to get trapped in the same situation, so he went back to the left. Interesting to see how the officials do that.
Well, the question here is whether he will be sent to the penalty box.
Generally speaking, they'll let you get away with just about anything as long as the car doesn't wreck or spin.
Now we saw just a shot there of Bucky Lasek still parked on the track, and that might be a problem for him. Oh, wow, you saw Piquet Jr. like nose that in over the jump.
Over jumped it a little bit. Oh,
is he slowing down?
Yes,
oh, red flag. No, the red flag is out. Well, that may have caused a problem for Nelson Piquet Jr. You can see Bucky Lasek's Subaru parked there in the middle of the course.
Red flag actually probably helps Piquet, because if he got going again, Piquet probably gets a penalty. Now they'll do a restart, so they'll get a do-over here, I believe.
So we'll have to see if there are any problems with Nelson Piquet Jr.'s machine. That was a very hard landing on the front over the jump, but Bucky Lasek parked in the middle of the track.
Keep your eye on the 2 cars on the inside and the back.
So Piquet turns Lasek around. We will be restarting this last chance qualifier when we come back to Red Bull Global RallyCross Los Angeles. We're getting ready to restart our last chance qualifier here at Red Bull Global RallyCross Los Angeles after the incident between Nelson Piquet Jr. and Bucky Lasek. that caused a red flag.
Just when I think the plot can't get any thicker, I think PK not wanting to get squeezed again, and he moved over and tipped him into this big tank slapper. Now, PK has to make a move here, but the officials have just told him, if you touch anyone in this LCQ, you're going to get DQ'd. So, I mean, it didn't take much, but it doesn't take much. Just a warning, but now he doesn't have anything in the bank. He can't be more aggressive, so the deck is stacked against him.
The damage there, Bucky Lassic's door when Emma Gilmore just ran into him. She had nowhere to go and couldn't avoid that at all, but they got that door fixed enough so he can race. And then we saw Nelson Piquet Jr. going over the jump. He landed heavy on the front end, so damage to his car. Remember, 39 points ahead in the championship when we came into this weekend. He's had a terrible weekend so far, shuffled to the back of the last chance qualifier. Only the top 4 transfer through to the final. This is really do or die for Nelson Piquet Jr. He's got to go here to get his points back.
Red lights are on, now they're off, waiting for green.
Last chance qualifier underway. Another bit of beating and banging there.
I think Piquet decided to sit back and hope that those guys mix it up in front of him and create an opportunity. They're leaning on each other all back through the field.
Wow, Sandell really leaning hard. Oh!
Gilmore's around.
Gilmore turned around and she's over that rumble strip. We'll see if she gets that restarted.
So that's one car Piquet is around. He needs to get by 2 more to get into the final.
Tanner Faust showing well, though. He got that Beetle into the lead. Brand new car out this weekend. It's the first race for the VW Beetle for the Andretti Rallycross team. So Faust and then Arpin and Sandell hangs on. He didn't take the Joker that lap, so he has the Joker still to take. Remember, you get to take the Joker. You have to take the Joker once per race.
Gilmore still high-centered on the curb. Yellow flag local, stay green. Now Piquet only has 1 Joker, so Piquet really needs to get around Bucky without using the Joker and try to make up ground. He's running out of time.
Wow, that's quite a battle there for second between Arpin Sandell and Austin Dine. Oh, Piquet took the Joker. Let's see where he comes out. He makes it. Does he get into 4th place?
He does. Now his best hope is hopefully Austin Dine tries to make something happen on Sandell in front of him. And Bucky, the guy who got the damaged door, is not happy. Look at that. Bucky all over Piquet now.
But if you look at the top of your screen, the Joker is gray on Lassic's name. That means he has not taken the Joker, so he will get a chance to duck under.
Sandell in the Joker and Bucky behind him. Lots of shuffling. Sandell up to second.
And Bucky gets in front of Nelson Piquet Jr. The white flag is out. This is the last lap. Wow, Piquet Jr. is going to have to fight incredibly hard to get himself in.
Twist of fortune. Piquet faced with elimination unless a miracle happens.
Faust, Sandell, Arpin, and Dine are the top 4. Only 4 will transfer through to the final. Then Lassic and Piquet Jr. sitting in 5th and 6th. I don't think he's going to make it. He's slowing down.
Off the pace.
Wow. So here we go to the checkered flag. Tanner Faust goes through to the final, followed by Patrick Sandell, Steve Arpin, and Austin Dine. And Nelson Piquet Jr. will miss the final. Oh, this is huge. On board there in that Subs.com Ford Fiesta ST. He is very upset.
The only one of the top 5 not to make the final.
Welcome back, everyone, to Red Bull Global Rallycross Los Angeles. You're watching Kirby Shambliss, the Red Bull pilot. He's getting ready for Red Bull Air Race in Las Vegas coming up October 10th and 11th. Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Absolutely unbelievable what this guy is doing. Well, now let's go down to the pits with Kristen Kenny, who's found SoCal local Brent Rivera, one of the most popular guys on Vine.
Thanks, Tess. Brent, this is your first time out here at this event. It's got to be exciting and some great Vine content, right?
So much great Vine content. I can't even believe what I'm seeing right now. I've never been to one of these, and I actually just got my license, so hopefully I'll be driving like this soon.
Ooh, I like that. All right, well, you can check us out. Hashtag GRC Live at Red Bull GRC. And what's your Vine?
Brent Rivera.
You guys got that? We can't wait to see it on Vine. And Tess, I think we can learn a thing or two about this guy.
Thanks, Kristen. Well, it's amazing what they can do with just 6 seconds of video. And talking about time just ran out for Nelson Piquet Jr. I mean, look how dejected this guy is.
And that's him talking with his owner, James Sully Sullivan, the owner of SH Racing. And they started off on the wrong foot, and they never recovered. Opening the door big time for this guy.
Huge, because what this means by my bad calculations is Ken Block wins this final, he will actually be 10 points ahead of Nelson Piquet Jr. and how things can change so quickly. Well, we just had our GRC Lights final go by, and Kevin Eriksson won the race over Mitchell de Jong. It's his second win in Lights this year. He remains second in points behind Mitchell de Jong.
Red Bull 1, 2, 3 with Kevin Hansen, his first race stateside.
So a great GRC Lights race here in Los Angeles. So now getting ready for our supercar final, the Royal Purple starting grid, and look at the 2 guys of the 3 that are on the front line there.
The guys, either one, I mean, Speed would be probably a couple points behind Piquet if he wins, but Block would be in front. So, needless to say, that huge gap is going to, well, we'll have to see what happens.
And in the middle of the second row, Johnny Weeman also in contention for the title. So the championship runners are in the first 2 rows. Nelson Piquet is sitting this one out and watching from his pit. That has got to be just tragic for him. We're seeing that VW Beetle on the far side, the yellow number 34 of Tanner Faust. The Beetle made his debut here, and it's actually been looking pretty racy.
Yeah, it started off with a win in its first heat race, very first time in competitive action. And then here all alone in row 4 is Austin Dine. Now, first time we've seen this many cars charge into that funnel of turn 2.
And Dine might not be in a bad position just to squeeze through when others make the mistake. Ken Block, though, he has everything to gain here. He could go 10 points ahead coming out of this. Remember, it's a doubleheader this weekend. We got racing today. We also have racing again tomorrow, so be sure to tune in and watch Sunday. But here we go. Red goes out when the green comes on. We are racing in Los Angeles. Who gets the start? Looks like Scott Speed got a good jump.
Sits up the inside. He's got a fender on Block.
Oh, and somehow...
More wide.
How did Ken Block get out of that?
The way they get out of it is they just keep their foot in it, and the front wheels pull them out. I think Isaacson has a failure.
600 horsepower driven on those 4 wheels, and Ken Block somehow got through. Look at that. Tanner Faust brings the VW Beetle through to 4th, but so far Scott Speed leading it out.
Wow. Top 3 guys all heading for the Joker. A little surprised by that.
And again, I think they just want to try and get as clear as possible of this traffic because, you know, Speed, Weeman, and Block, they are the 3 drivers in contention for the championship. So there you have Speed, Weeman, Block. They all want to get the win here.
Well, but I think what they're doing, I think they're, by all taking the Joker at the same time, and as difficult as this pass, they're kind of saying, big picture, listen, with Piquet Jr. on the sidelines, I want first, second, or third place points because they're all thinking points right now. And look at Tanner Faust all the way up from the 3rd row into 4th.
And speaking of sidelines, as they came over the jump, you can see the blue and white Subaru of Sverre Isaacson. He is off. Reese Miller took the Joker there, and I don't think he got the result he was looking for. But looking back here from Scott Speed's onboard, the VW Polo. This Polo is actually Tanner Faust's machine. The guys had to put this car together and get him on the start line, and what a phenomenal job they did.
And now we have all the front guys, all the front 5 cars have all used the Joker. And so any change in position have to happen on track. Now it's road courses, if you will. Looking back, you see how close it is, but Speed's not going to make it easy on him, and this track being so narrow in one line, it'll be interesting if he gets close, if he risks it by risk of contact for that win. It would be his first win. Johnny Weeman still winless this year.
Coming over the jump, and the top 4 all still pretty close. Ken Block in 3rd, but he's being chased down by Tanner Faust. Weeman's trying to figure out how he can hook onto the back end of Speed's Polo and just reel him in a little bit and try and get past him. Meanwhile, Block still, even in third, is in a good position here in the points chase. So this is going to mix things up incredibly in just one day how it changes from Nelson Piquet Jr. on top.
You have 4 guys almost right on top of each other heading into the second half. Well, if they finish like this.
If they finish like that. And we know in Red Bull Global RallyCross, lap by lap, your world changes. Just ask Nelson Piquet Jr. And again, this is a doubleheader weekend, so we're racing today, Saturday, and again on NBC tomorrow. You can watch the Sunday race of this doubleheader, which I think now is going to be really interesting.
You saw from the lap times, it looks like Speed is inching away on that last lap, 3/10 quicker than Weeman. Tanner Faust trying to get back up on the back bumper, the dangling back bumper of that monster Ford.
And obviously, Tanner Faust would love to get that Beetle up on the podium in its first time out, but he's dragging a little bit of body panel too. And Block just can't seem to make up the gap, but you can see a lot of smoke coming now from Faust's car, and I think that is just tire rub.
But it's enough.
Oh, no. Tanner Faust pulling up. He looked so good. He was chasing down Ken Block, and he just couldn't hold it together for the whole of the race. So Faust retires here in the first time out for the VW Beetle, but meanwhile, his other car, now being driven by Scott Speed, is coming to the white flag to signal 1 lap to go in our final here in LA.
And momentum being so important. Scott Speed came out of the start of the year gangbusters, winning the first 2 rounds and has not been on the podium since. So a great way to break that streak.
An absolutely horrible streak for him, coming into this, a 9th, a 5th, and a 10th after winning the first 2 events of the year. But it looks now like it's all paid off. It's pulling back together for Scott Speed. He's just got a couple of turns left to go over the jump. 2 right-handers, and he will take the checkered flag. That's what he was looking for. Scott Speed wins in Los Angeles. A great victory for him. Johnny Weeman coming in second. Ken Block comes in third to fill out that podium.
You see some of the body parts shed by some of the cars a little further back. And that failure in the Beetle, not entirely unexpected, but that's why Speed ran the proven polo.
Speed wins in LA, and we'll check in with him when we come back to Los Angeles.